Welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Travel Alert. I'm Steve Glenn.
I'm Paul Glenn.
Hey, Paul, I have Mr. Hollywood, Italy with us today, Mike Andriani. Mike, say hi.
Ciao.
Hey, we're coming to you today from Italy, Montone, Italy. We're actually broadcasting from Hotel Fortebraccio in Montone, Umbria, Italy. Paul, are you jealous?
I'm jealous, but I'm going to be there in a couple weeks. So my jealousy is going to, or the need to be there is going to be filled here shortly. And I'm excited for it. It's been a while.
Yeah. Hey, in today's weekly travel alert, we're going to talk about some of my observations of being over in Italy this past week. Today we had probably one of the nicest day. We sat out on a little cafe for lunch today. I think I got almost a sunburn, Mike, when we were doing that. So I'd like to cover that. We'd like to remind everybody this is sponsored by Executive Travel, and we've been doing this now for 40 years, and we're thankful that we can come to you live from Italy. And we'd like to thank Ryan Swihart in our office. Ryan puts all this together. So he glues together Italy and Lincoln, Nebraska. And what we've got today, Paul, is I put together a list of things that I've observed while over here. You ready to go, Paul? And I'll walk right through them.
Yeah, let's do it.
First of all, I just want to remind everybody we're staying high from Italy, and with Mike at our side, Mike's beside us. Mike is our partner here in Italy, and Mike helps run and operate Hotel Fortebraccio. He also operates the restaurant that we partner with, La Antica Osteria, he and his wife, Belinda. And we're launching so many tours here. Mike, welcome aboard. And man, you're like the man of the hour. Whenever we come to Italy, you're the guy that everybody wants to see. You're the Hollywood.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Thank you so much.
So
Grazie a tutti.
yeah, tell us a little bit about, your Italy story and your family and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, we've been living here for almost 30 years here in a place called Città di Castello near Montone, where our hotel is located. And we've been running this restaurant in the piazza of Montone for 10 years. Well, and we met last year, didn't we? And
Yeah.
after the fifth bottle of wine, we decided to buy a hotel.
What would we have done if we'd had a sixth bottle of wine?
Yeah, probably by a second.
By a second hotel. Tell us about Belinda, Leah, and Olivia.
Yeah, so Belinda, my wife, she's Australian, and she's been living here with me for all these years. And our two girls, they kind of were raised here. They went to school here, and they both work in our business between the hotel and the restaurant.
Wow.
Belinda runs the restaurant while I'm here at the hotel.
Yeah. So basically, when you come on amoreitaly.com or visit Hotel Fortebraccio or do any of the Women of the Midwest tours, if you're staying at Hotel Fortebraccio, you're probably for sure going to meet Mike. You're going to meet Belinda, Olivia, Leah. I mean, this is a family. We want to make it so when you're in Italy, you're surrounded by support. You're surrounded by family. But with that as a preamble, Paul, I'm going to read to you my weekly travel alert. Hello from Italy. These are the quick observations for travelers planning a trip this year across the pond. Number one, this is amazing, Paul. Demand is really high here in Italy. I did some analysis and I said, where do Americans travel to, Paul? I said, where does Italy stack up compared to France, Spain, Germany, Ireland? And I ran the numbers, Paul, and you're going to be amazed. Or maybe not. Italy has 6 to 7 million people a year. Americans come here every year, which is, astronomical. And then I said, well, compare it to the next highest. Guess what the next highest is, Paul?
Oh, I'm going to guess a France or a Germany or...
It's France. France has 4 to 5 million. And then comes Spain at 3 to 4 million, and Germany comes in close at 2 million, followed by Ireland at about 2 million. So if you say, how many people go to Ireland versus Italy, 3 times more people come to Italy. And I think it's all because of Mike.
Yes. Actually, I'm not surprised.
Actually, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think, what we tend to see is people that when they're going to jump the pond for the first time, they want to go someplace where there may not be as many barriers. So Ireland's a good first time to jump the pond, but then you want to expand it from there. And Italy just has so much to offer, and it's so comfortable and they're so welcoming, that, between the culture and all the history and all those things, you really can't get everything in one trip, even if you go for a couple weeks. And so you have to go back. And the more you go back, the more you fall in love with it.
Yeah, we drove Paul today. We were checking out part of Amore, Italy includes a hot air balloon ride. So Mike drove us over into that valley, and guess what? We're on the top of this hill where the balloon rides take off, and we looked over to the left, and you know what we saw, Paul? Spello, your favorite town in all of Italy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and then guess what? We take off by Spello and we land by Assisi. I mean, it's the most beautiful balloon ride, and that's all part of Amore, Italy. It's just a private balloon ride that we take off on. And Mike and I were talking to the owner of the balloon company, and it was fun, wasn't it, Mike?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
So much. He's like the top balloon flyers in the world.
This
Top
guy,
10 or
this guy flew balloons for Dubai for 15 years, and he is the top 10 balloon. I don't know if you call him driver or whatever you call him, but he's was a lot of fun to talk to. Pilot. There we go. The demand for Italy remains strong. Italy's at the top of the heap for Americans, and we're seeing that this year. Number 2 on this week's edition of the Weekly Traveler. The Weekly Traveler goes out to 100,000 people every Tuesday, and then we put it on this podcast every Tuesday. We launch it. And this week's edition is 6 observations I have of being in Italy this year. The number 2 item this week, the headline reads, Paul, high season has shifted much earlier in the year. And we've talked about this before, but I was inspecting hotels in Rome, and I said, hey, when are you busy? They said, hey, we're starting to be busy right now. April, May, even in June. And then July and August, which were historically their busiest months, now are their shoulder season, their lower season. So, Paul, that whole thing has changed, hasn't it?
It's very different than it was a handful of years ago. And I think what we've experienced besides the crowds being crazy in June, July, August here, prior years, it's been the temperatures. It's been extremely hot over there. And when you're in a big city that's filled with tourists and you put 100+ degrees on top of that, it's not enjoyable, at least for my standards.
Now, Mike, do you remember what the balloon guy told us, Americans, what month they come in that was the busiest month? Do you remember what he said?
Did he say September?
September. He said Americans love it here in September. But you know what, Paul? He looked right at me and he said, we have to charge Americans by their weight.
Not the Americans, you.
Oh, he looked at me.
Is he going to charge you for 2 people?
Yeah, they're going to give me a surcharge, if you can believe it. Oh, so anyway, we had a lot of fun in that. But once again, the number 2 is basically the high season has changed. It's moved earlier and moved later in the equation. And I would agree with that. Number 3 is a lot of airlines, because of this war, are now charging fuel surcharges. They're increasing those anywhere from 50 to a couple $100 a piece. And, they're basically saying our fuel costs went up in the last week. And so we're going to start to charge more for that.
Well, I think that's the standard for the airlines is when they see a crack in the door, they open it up as quickly as possible to take advantage of it. So I don't think anybody's surprised by that. And I mean, it really probably is justified at this point because of the unknowns of how this is all going to play out. So, but to that, I think people just have to be aware that, we're going to see a continued uptick in those prices until this does settle down a little bit. And so buy that ticket as quickly as possible because it's much more likely to continue to go up than it is to go down here for the near future.
All right, that brings us to number 4 on this week's edition of the Weekly Traveler. Airfares to Europe to see double whammy. High season comes early. And Paul, I did some check And I looked at May 13th. If we traveled and departed the US May 13th from Omaha to Rome, I found some amazing prices. They were still $800. A week later, it goes up 25%, but it's still a pretty good price. But some people will say, hey, 25%. It's still, but it's about $1,000 starting May 20th. So
Well,
yeah,
I know that's right about when summer starts. So that's when families can take the kids and go on their adventures. Whether the reality is doing something like that, the availability, even if it's just domestic, is going to be down because you've got families that may be doing the simple go see grandma or go do Disney World or whatever. But that's making that availability on the flights going from towns like Omaha that have to go through Chicago. It's taking up that inventory.
you bet. Hey, my battery's going to be running low pretty quick, so I better do some lickety split stuff here. Number
Better
5
talk
on
quick.
this week's edition of the Weekly Traveler, it reads, energy regulations affect hotel air conditionings. This is one thing that just surprised me. It surprised you too, didn't it, Mike?
Absolutely.
Actually, I talked to a hotelier in Rome, and they said, we can't turn on our air conditioning till May 15th because of local regulations. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I hope you don't get a heat wave, Paul, in visiting Rome before May 15th.
Yeah, no, that's why we'll stay up in Montoni as much as possible and enjoy the time there. It's a little bit cooler typically up north there, so we'll enjoy what we can.
Mike, I was looking at the historical records, and it showed that Montoni is 8 degrees cooler than Rome,
That's
average.
correct. Yes.
And you see that all the time. Do people in Rome come here to get out of the heat?
Yes, they do, especially in summer and early summer. They escape Rome on weekends, and they stay up here in Umbria and cool Umbria like for 2 or 3 days.
And they jump in our pool, don't they?
They do.
And use the pool bar.
Yes.
Hey, we're enjoying presenting the Weekly Traveler this week with our good friend Mike Andriana, who's our partner. Mike came to the States here about 2 weeks ago, and we had a big dinner party. And with he and Belinda, and we had all the investors with Hotel Forte Braccio, and he's like a movie star. Huh? Were you nominated for any Oscars
Not
on
yet.
Sunday?
Not yet. I hope you could help me there.
Well, I'll tell you, they call him Hollywood here in Italy now, and he's been asking his wife to make appropriate acknowledgement of his fame. So with that, number 6 on this week's edition of the Weekly Traveler comes to you every Tuesday at 10:30. We send out 100,000 emails. You can find us on the web at executivetravel.com. You can also have an easy phone number, 402-435-8888. We'd love to talk to you. Number 6 is Confessions from Italy. I've become a YouTube junkie, Paul. I'll tell you what, I go home, I get onto YouTube, and now the algorithms have captured me. They send me every YouTube of Italy, like secret villages of Umbria, how to take Italian coffee. What's the difference? I once watched a 30-minute video on the difference between a cappuccino and a Lugo or whatever. So I'm afraid I'm turning into a YouTube junkie, Paul. But I think that's a lot of fun preparing to go to Italy. Do you watch a lot of YouTubes, Paul?
I tend to more, yeah. I mean, along the lines of anything I've got interest in, so it makes sense that travel would be one of those things. So, but the big question will will YouTube take away any of your time from Chat GPT since you've been the
No.
Chat GPT junkie for years now?
Hey, I'm in the top 5% of Chat GPTers. I'll have you know, I'm almost the Hollywood of Chat GPT.
You are ChatGPT.
So, yeah, we have a lot of fun. You might, if you guys are going into Europe or going internationally, you might check out YouTube as a good resource to find a lot of information about the places you're going. YouTube has, there's some great YouTubes about villadestinoitaly.com, our villa. There's great YouTubes about walking tours of Montoni, even Mike, that our people have walked through. We're going to be building a YouTube video about Hotel Forte Braccio when we get all the remodeling done. So it's a great resource for you. And I got to admit, I've kind of spent too much time on that. But anyway, with that, the last thing I had is I wanted to share with our readers today that we have quite a portfolio of Italy. Executive travel has kind of become the go-to place if you want to travel to Italy. Our portfolio has women's tours with Women of the Midwest, and it's got a luxury villa with villadestinoitaly.com. It's got couples adventures with amoreitaly.com. And then we've got a new play, which is Six Girlfriends Go to Italy. So with that, you can have almost every experience you want. We try to make it so it's easy for you to go, reasonably priced. And, I think Mike and I were talking today, we have to make sure it makes it fun to come to Italy. You're not hassled, you're not rushed, you're not any mess there. So with that, um, we've had a great week here with Mike and I. I'm bringing back some good wine for you, Paul. And I don't know
Okay.
if you ever visited the place that had the great balsamic we bought
Yeah,
3 years
I
ago.
did. I've got a bottle of that balsamic somewhere in my house.
Well, guess what? I'm bringing you another
You got
one.
more? All right.
About four,
It's
about
the
four
good
more
stuff.
bottles. All right. It's
Good.
good. Really good. So with that, I wanted to thank everybody and coming to you from Montone, Italy with our special guest, Mike Andriani. His wife, Belinda, was just here with us about 15 minutes ago. We'd like to thank you for joining us on this week's edition of the Weekly Travel Alert. I'm Steve Glenn.
All right. And I'm Paul Glenn. Mike, Steve, great to have you on today. Go enjoy a glass of wine for me while Ryan and I are over here working for the rest of the afternoon. And to all those that joined us, please like, subscribe, share, and add any comments or feedback on topics that would be of interest for future episodes. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.